If everybody would take your seats, I think we'd like to get started. Thank you all for sticking around. Thank you so much for your support for KKFI, and thank you for your support for Pete Seeger. I'm going to tell one more quick Pete Seeger story as everybody's getting their seats, and then call on Bill Hilburn to tell one. Bill Claus mentioned that one of the things Pete Seeger did was tell people how the music that we do now is a part of a link of the chain. Well, when he performed in Kansas City with the Sing Out Board, the song that he picked for all of the Sing Out Board members to sing together was John Henry. And he told us where he first heard John Henry. When he was a young man traveling with his father, Charles Seeger, the musicologist, they came to Kansas City to stay and visit Charles Seeger's good friend Thomas Hart Benton. And the first place that he heard John Henry was in Kansas City. He heard it. People were singing it at Thomas Hart Benton's house. He was on the back porch, and he first heard John Henry on Thomas Hart Benton's back porch in Kansas City. That's cool. Pete Seeger passed on the word. Everybody keep passing on the Pete Seeger word and sing along with the songs, because that's what we do. And I'll introduce now Bill Hilburn to tell you a little bit more about Pete Seeger, and then we'll have David Haken come out.
I'd like to preface this by saying that I'm, unlike a lot of the folks in here, not a huge fan of Pete Seeger, or rather I thought I wasn't. And then I heard about his passing, and I thought, well, wait a minute, this seems like this is a big loss. Maybe I should read up and study up on Pete Seeger. And it was kind of like finding out that you were a fish swimming in water. You don't think about it, but it surrounds you, and it's around you, and it's a part of you. And I grew up singing Pete Seeger songs in elementary school. I grew up on Army bases because my dad was in the Army, and we sang Houses of Ticky Tacky, and I'd walk home and I'd look at those houses in the Army bases that all looked the same and went, wait a minute. Oh, do they know what they're teaching us? So the reason I picked this particular piece or this subject to talk about is because it sort of indicates what a mensch Pete Seeger really was. As I look around this room full of KKFI personnel and volunteers and its listeners, I see a lot of people that are committed to causes. And they count those causes greater than themselves. Pete Seeger was one of those type of people. He was blessed with a lack of self-aggrandizement. He was always willing to throw himself right into the fight, tilting at windmills armed only with his banjo and the truth. In the summer of 1949, that conviction was tested hard. Let me set the stage here. Although to a lot of you folks this is probably old news, but I think it's pretty important to realize that this was a time that we were at the height of that dark chapter of American history known as the McCarthy era. A time where Satan's handmaidens, Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy and Richard Nixon, who, I don't know, I heard he never really came to much of anything, but they were stalking the land, hunting Reds, liberals, union organizers, and anybody that dared utter a word of reproach. The blacklist destroyed careers and lives and advanced the conservative agenda of the day with vicious imperative. 4 years after a world war that was fought against the very sort of people that this nation had sacrificed so much to defeat, they were now using the same tactics as Joseph Goebbels did in Nazi Germany to spread fear and hatred for the other. And as we have become aware of recently, despite the flawed wisdom of our conservatively stacked Supreme Court, that being a black man in this country is a swift passport to otherness. In 1949, they could get you killed. If you're an outspoken, educated black man who travels not only to Europe but to the Soviet Union to hold your country accountable for its treatment of its minorities and worker, righteous fury will ensue. and so it did with Paul Robeson, who was invited to speak at the foot of the Peekskill Mountains in August 28th, 1949. Like Pete Seeger, he was a man that was literally always under the gun. So when he came to speak, it was quite something. On August 28th, 1949, that festering pile of bigotry masquerading as patriotism went ballistic. Already misquoted by the Associated Press for a speech that he'd made in Paris several weeks before, Paul Robeson had already inflamed the already fear-maddened public. When he arrived in upstate New York, there was a riot organized by the local chapters of the American Legion and VFW waiting for him. Effigies of Robeson hung from the trees, and a cross was burned on a nearby hillside. The event was called off, but Robeson decided to try again on September 4th, and because that's what you do when you fight the good fight. So he put in a call to Pete Seeger. The organizers drew more than 40,000 people to attend the event now that Pete Seeger was there, as well as the national indignation at the riot. And despite the national condemnation, there being a heavy police presence, there was still a license for that kind of behavior in this country. The conventional wisdom of the time felt that this would be allowed. So a new crowd of rubes and bumpkins gathered, and the concert went on despite them. But afterwards, there was a miles-long gauntlet of decent, moral folk waiting with rocks that had been supplied to them. As the performers and audience trundled through screams of, racial epithets that, let's just put it this way, they were the worst things that the bigots' minds could encompass, of not only calling Paul Robeson, but also the white version of that to Pete Seeger and the other performers. And Pete Seeger and his family, as well as many others, huddled under shards of glass that rained down on them as the cars were rocked and nearly overturned. The police did nothing but watch and, according to witnesses, seemed to enjoy the spectacle. There were over 140 injuries, but thankfully no fatalities that night. There were no arrests made. Justice would have to be left for another day. History is a living legacy. Pete Seeger lived his life to change history despite the danger that was all too real, all too often. How he witnessed what he did and still found peace in his soul without giving in to retaliation astounds me. As we see around us, the fascists are still willing to shamble forth from their spawning grounds and open fire here in our own communities, and the darlings of the right are still advocating slavery. This fight is far from over. May we all have the same sense of dedication and undertake the same kind of risks that Pete Seeger was willing to personify every well-fought day of his life. Thank you.
The host of Moby's Trip, Bill Hilburn, Lonesome Cowboy Bill. We have coming up the founder of the Kansas City Songwriters Circle, Mr. David Haken, has got some musical wonders to share with us here, and you're far over there, but yes, very good. Please make him welcome, everyone, David Haken.
Well, many years ago, the end of the school day, I would sit down with my second graders. We'd sing songs waiting for parents to come. And this was always one of them. And yes, they knew what a hobo was. Please sing with me. Go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know your clothes are torn and ragged, and your hair is turning gray. Lift your head and smile at trouble. You'll find peace and rest someday. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. Don't you worry about tomorrow. Let tomorrow come and go. Tonight you're in a nice warm boxcar, safe from all that wind and snow. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know the police cause you trouble. They cause trouble everywhere. But when you die and go to heaven, there'll be no policeman there. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. That's the hobo's lullaby. Well, growing up, my two daughters had a favorite song. So I thought I should try it tonight. And it is definitely a sing-along. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who played the ukulele. And he'd go plink, 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 all over town. And people got tired of it. And they said, take that ukulele and just get. And his father would get in trouble, too. His father was a magician. And he had a magic wand, and he could make things disappear. But he was a terrible practical joker. Somebody would be working real hard at something like sawing a log. Zuba, zuba, zuba. He'd come up with his magic wand. Zoop. The saw would disappear. Someone would come in on a hot day, have a nice cool glass of water. Zoop. The glass would disappear. Someone would come home after working real hard to get in their favorite easy chair. Zoop. No chair. Well, people got tired of this too. And they told the father, you just get out. You take your magic wand and your boy and get. The boy and his father, they ostracized him. That meant they had to live at the edge of town. Well, in this town, used to tell stories about the monsters and giants in the old days. Used to tell a story about Abi-Yo-Yo. They said he was big as a house, would eat people up. No one believed the stories, but they told them anyway. One day, the sun rose blood red over the hills, and the people that looked out saw a great big shadow in front of the sun, and the ground began to shake. And people looked out their windows and said, "It's Abi-Yo-Yo." And they screamed, "Run for your lives, it's Abi-Yo-Yo." Strong men fainted. And he came down to the fields, came to the sheep pasture, ate a whole sheep. Came to the cow pasture, ate up a whole cow. Well, just about this time, the father and the boy finally woke up. I think they'd been out late the night before at a jam or something. And the boy goes to the window and looks out and says, "Pa, what's coming over the fields?" And his father looks out the window and says, "Oh, son, it's Abi-Yo-Yo. If only I could get him to lie down, I could make him disappear." The boy grabs his father's hand and says, "Come with me, Pa." And the father grabs his magic wand, and the boy grabs his ukulele, and they go running across the fields right up to Abi-Yo-Yo. And people screamed, "Don't go near him, he'll eat you alive." And there was Abi-Yo-Yo. He had long fingernails because he never cut them, matted hair because he never combed them, slobbery teeth because he never brushed them, stinking feet because he never washed them. He was just about to come down on the boy. He takes out his ukulele. Never heard someone sing a song about him before, and foolish grin spread over his face, and he started singing and dancing along. Abi-Yo-Yo, 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 yo-yo, yo-yo, yo-yo. The boy went faster and faster. Abi-Yo-Yo, yo-yo, Abi-Yo-Yo, yo-yo. And the monster got out of breath and fell to the ground. And the father takes out his magic wand and zoop, Abi-Yo-Yo disappeared. People streamed out of their houses, came to the field and said, "Why, he's disappeared." And they said to the father, "Come on back to town. Bring your boy, bring that damn ukulele. We don't care anymore." And they all started singing, Abi-Yo-Yo, 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 yo-yo, yo-yo, Abi-Yo-Yo.
Thank you, David Haken. I would like to welcome the host of Art Speak Radio and a member of Kansas City's Ukulele Fight Club, the one and only Maria-Vasquez Boyd.
Mike Murphy, this microphone is perfectly suited for me. I'd like to begin and end my writing with an excerpt from Pete Seeger's book, The Incomplete Folk Singer, 1972. When Lee Hayes and I wrote If I Had a Hammer in 1949, we really doubted that many besides he and I would sing it. But it has gone round the world and is known in many versions. The most recent changes in it were wrought by a young rock and roller who recorded it in '62. But I grew up listening to Pete Seeger's song through the voice of Trini Lopez in the kitchen with my mother. I listened to the pink plastic radio on the countertop as Trini Lopez sings If I Had a Hammer. Dad in his t-shirts and boxers sings along. If I had a hammer, I'd hit you in the morning. I'd hit you in the evening, all over your head. Never mind, I have a more important task at hand. I am baking sugar cookies for my beautiful uncle who looks like a cholo movie star. My beautiful uncle with eyes the color of smoky quartz. My beautiful uncle fighting in Vietnam. I bake the sugar cookies with government-issued powdered eggs and commodities exchanged between my mother and her sisters and grandmother. I measure out the flour, vanilla, salt, and baking powder, and 2 chipped mixing bowls. I add 1 Our Father who art in heaven, and 2 Hail Marys, and a half cup of crushed rosary beads. Our prayer songs and corridos are for the living and the ancestors. Our corridos are story songs about history, oppression, revolution, and love. Our corridos are carved from letters written home. My beautiful uncle did not correspond with us during the war, but once I sent a carefully wrapped package to him decorated for his birthday and filled with sugar cookies. It was returned, unopened, with thick black writing scrawled on top, "None of us belongs here." I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning. I know a man who numbed himself with whiskey with his friend, and a small pistol he shot off a non-essential finger from his left hand. I have a terrible habit of imagining things. You see, the weight of blessings will erase the cruelty of the world. A decade of sugar cookies, a decade of rosary beads, and numbered stars. When my beautiful uncle returns home, his smoky quartz eyes that once held the light of the world are ruined by war and Agent Orange. They have been replaced by pinholes beneath dark glass. He feels heat when it rains. He shivers from the shadows of ghosts. The hammer of justice, the bell of freedom, the song of love, pobrecito. The color of wounds and sensory memories last a fraction of a second in a lifetime. A quote from Pete Seeger. Do I resent the changes he made? I have changed so many other people's songs that I hardly have any right to demand that they not change one of mine. But I also discovered an interesting thing. You can sing the tune as they wrote it simultaneously with the rock and roll version. They harmonize each other. Now, isn't that a good moral for the world? Thank you.
Some things to think about. Coming up musically next is a gal whose cousins were, the Rausch brothers were playing before the Shy Boys. I shouldn't say this, just Shy Boys. But this gal's not so shy. She's a multi-generation musician, her family. She's a prolific songwriter. She's full of wonderful good spirits and good intents, and she's a dear, dear good friend. Make her welcome, and she'll be making another friend and very special guest welcome on her second song. But right now, we welcome her by herself with her big voice and her beautiful guitar, Kasey Rausch, everybody.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here. I'm very glad to be here, and like many of us, I do have a short story to share before this song. There's many things that I love about Pete Seeger. One of the dearest things about him to me was his commitment to the civil rights movement. Though my roots are here in Missouri, in Kansas City, in Parkville, I was born here and my family's been here for many, many generations. I spent my formative years, my schooling years, in the deep southeast of Texas, where up until 1988, segregation was still very real. And in truth, it's probably still very real today as well, but I'm not there to witness it anymore. But when I was 14 years old, the if your skin was too dark, you could not go into the roller rink in my small town. You could go into the movie theater, but you had to go sit in the balcony, and you couldn't come down or you got kicked out, which meant if you wanted snacks, assuming they would serve you snacks, you had to get them before the movie started. So what that meant was that African American folks simply didn't go to the movie theater. Well, one day when I was 14, my friends and I decided that we wanted one of our African American friends to go to the movies with us. And so we convinced him to come, a group of about 10 of us. And I remember very clearly walking in together, sitting down, and sure enough, the owner of the theater came walking down the aisle and stopped. And I remember him doing this and looking down at us. And so clearly, I remember doing the same thing and looking up at him and shaking my head. And not one of us said a word, and he walked on, and we changed history in the spirit of Rosa Parks just by taking a seat. So I think it's very appropriate that I play this song that's maybe not one of Pete Seeger's most well-known songs. It's one that he wrote later in life. I learned it by way of Sarah Lee Guthrie and her husband. But I'd love for you to sing it with me in the spirit of Pete. So the chorus is, "Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King. You too could sing, so drop the gun." So feel free to join in if you'd like. It starts like this. Down in Alabama, 1955. Some of us here tonight were then alive. Young Baptist preacher led a bus boycott. He showed the way for a brand new day without firing a shot. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. Oh, those must have been exciting 13 years. Young heroes, young heroines, there were laughter, there were tears. Students at lunch counters, even dancing in the street. To think it all started with Sister Rosa refusing to give up her seat. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. Songs kept him going and growing. They didn't realize the millions of seeds they were sowing. They were singing in marches, even singing in jail. Songs gave them the courage to believe they would not fail. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. We sang about Alabama, 1955. Since 9/11, we wonder, will this world survive? But the world learned a lesson from Dr. King. We can survive, we can, and we will, and so we sing. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. Don't say it can't be done. The battle's just begun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. Take it from Dr. King, you too could learn to sing, so drop the gun. Thanks. Thank you. Well, I also feel like I can't sing about the civil rights movement without singing a song written by the woman who came to be known as the voice of the civil rights movement, and I think it's very appropriate that I invite my friend. You may know him as the director of the Folk Alliance International. I know him as Lewis Myers, to be exact, and Irion, thank you. You noticed I skipped saying Sarah Lee Guthrie's husband's name because I couldn't remember how to pronounce it. But Lewis is relatively new to Kansas City, and he has already brought thousands and thousands of people together through folk music, so it's my honor to sing this song with him. This is Odetta.
This hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Tell him I'm gone, you can tell him I'm gone. If he asks you, was I running? If he asks you, was I running? If he asks you, was I running? You can tell him I was flying. You can tell him I was flying. If he asks you, was I laughing? If he asks you, was I laughing? If he asks you, was I laughing? You can tell him I was crying. You can tell him I was crying. So take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Tell him I'm gone. You can tell him I'm gone. I don't want no cornbread molasses. I don't want no cornbread molasses. I don't want no cornbread molasses. It hurts my pride. It hurts my pride. So take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Tell him I'm gone. You can tell him I'm gone. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Tell him I'm gone. You can tell him I'm gone.
So, if you don't know about the Folk Alliance International, there's a really wonderful place you can visit in the River Market area at 5th and Delaware is the Folk Store, and it's the headquarters for Folk Alliance International. The store is open, Tuesday through Saturday, I believe, and they have kind of folk music hours. So you might just go to folk.org and find out what those hours are. If you know what I mean, it doesn't open at 8 a.m., but not necessarily open until midnight. We have jam sessions there all the time. There are some monthly themed sessions, and you'll find me down there a lot of times on those monthly sessions. This month is bluegrass. That'd be fitting, I suppose, in the nice spring months. Speaking of fitting, what a wonderful pair of musicians to be a part of this night. I think of Howard Iceberg as Kansas City's Bob Dylan. I don't personally know Bob Dylan, But my theory is Howard is more prolific and also quite a bit nicer. But that's just a feeling. No, we thank Bob Dylan for what he does. But
neither one of us is all that nice, right?
And with him is the very talented and an amazing human being, besides musician, with the work that she does in developing countries and helping out outside of our town. But in our town and in our region, it's Emily Tummons and Howard Iceberg.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really nice to be part of this thing. This first song that we're doing, Pete sang when he was with the Weavers, and I think clear back in the late 40s and probably early 50s. And it's a song I learned as a kid, and I haven't played it in 50 years, but I felt the need because of the shootings last month at the Jewish Community Center and all, to do a song in Hebrew. And this song is called Tzena Tzena. And I asked Emily, because not only is she a great singer, and not only who doesn't like the accordion, but she speaks great Hebrew. So. Tzena 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 habana reno chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, tzena, havana derena, chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, tzena, habana reno chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, 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 habana reno chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, 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 havana derena chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, 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 havana derena chayalim b'moshava. Tzena, 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 havana derena chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, tzena, havana derena chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Tzena, 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 havana derena chayalim b'moshava. Alna, 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 titkavena miben chayil yistava. Thank you, Bill. I'm not playing the guitar on this song.
This next song is called How Can I Keep From Singing? My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the sweet, though far off hymn that hails a new creation.
the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
When tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knell ringing, when friends rejoice, both far and near, how can I keep from singing?
In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
And though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. And though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth.
No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. We have more remarks, several more acts, and you all. And I want to thank you again for being a part of this night. And yes, and thank you for the little pinch, Howard. It's you have to ask me later about more stories about Howard too. He's a dear, dear friend. Coming up here is the director of the Institute for Labor Studies and the producer of the Heartland Labor Forum on KKFI. Some remarks from Judy Ansell.
Wow, thank you so much for sticking around. This is truly amazing. Pete Seeger was a union man. John McCutcheon, who is the president emeritus of the American Federation of Musicians Local 1000, told us on the Heartland Labor Forum shortly after Pete's death that Pete Seeger was not only a proud charter member of Local 1000, he was the person that introduced so many of us to unionism, he said. It was not with speeches, but with songs. It was not with agitation, but with action. There he was, whenever he was needed, lending a hand and a voice to workers' struggles. He didn't do it because of the headlines or because it was a good career move. In fact, it wasn't. But because he believed in the power of song and what that power could do for ordinary people. Whether it was singing the Erie Canal or Solidarity Forever, being in a crowd with Pete was a transformative experience. Those who had been told their whole lives that they could not sing suddenly found their voices. Those who believed that they had no power suddenly knew that they did. Those who thought they were all alone suddenly found a community all because of a tall, skinny guy with his bobbing Adam's apple and a banjo. It appears that for Pete, singing the songs of working people and being a good union man went hand in hand. As a union man, Kathy Peters told me that Pete wanted to be the guy helping out at local 1000 meetings that she attended, and that he always volunteered to do things like signing people in or passing out the survey. He'd do any routine task. John McCutcheon told us whenever we had a meeting and he was nearby, he would go out of his way to come. He raised his hand and said, "Mr. President." John said Pete once told him that successful organizations work, play, and eat together. Maybe that's why KKFI has lasted so long. We certainly do all of those things. A member of the Newspaper Guild had Pete stop by a union meeting shortly before Pete died, and this guy said, "Seeger helped write the soundtrack for the American labor movement." I think that's really fitting because through 50, 60 years of the American labor movement, we were all singing along with Pete. And he went where the action was. From his early days with Woody Guthrie and the Almanac Singers, which Pete joined in 1940, he wrote songs and traveled the country, singing to boost striking workers who were organizing with the CIO. John McCutcheon said, Pete's music made heroes of working people. When the members of the Almanac Singers were writing the lyrics to the song Talking Union, Pete wrote the last verse. But out in Detroit, here's what they found. And out in Frisco, here's what they found. And out in Pittsburgh, here's what they found. And down in Bethlehem, here's what they found. That if you don't let red baiting break you up, if you don't let stool pigeons break you up, if you don't let vigilantes break you up, and if you don't let race hatred break you up, you'll win. What I mean, take it easy, but take it. That was Pete. Pete was a committed leftist who, despite the blacklist, never recanted. Robbie Lieberman, in an obituary, wrote, he sang with Henry Wallace's Progressive Party campaign in which promoting peace, that is, peaceful coexistence with the Soviet Union, and opposition to the development of nuclear weapons and civil rights. The progressives refused to hold segregated meetings or tone down their meetings in the South, which caused Pete to be challenged by angry hecklers. But that didn't stop him. He just offered to sing Dixie with them. Neither did the blacklisting of the Weavers, just as they were on the verge of really making it commercially, nor being called to testify in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee, where he offered to sing some of his songs in order to illustrate the work that he did. The committee turned him down. He continued to sing wherever he could in the 1950s on college campuses, in the 1950s on college campuses and in schools and summer camps, as the movement he had been a part of floundered during the Red Scare era due to both external attacks and internal problems. In the 60s, Pete's singing spoke to the radical democratic spirit of the times. Lieberman says that the people who were singing If I Had a Hammer by the Peter, Paul, and Mary version didn't know that Pete wrote I Had a Hammer about the Red Scare to challenge them. I never knew that either. I thought it was just about a hammer. Indeed, Pete went where the action was. In the 80s, he and John McCutcheon went up to Austin, Minnesota to support the Hormel workers who were on strike, local P9 of United Food and Commercial Workers. And even in his old age, he insisted on going down to Occupy Wall Street to play because he could be of use. He said, John McCutcheon said, Pete introduced so many people to unionism through song and action. Pete really kept up in his later years. One comment he said was, "We have problems that still need to be solved today, like corporations are running the country." That's true. He added that music is the best way to connect people who might otherwise not sit down and work out their problems. Pete understood that songs are what allowed workers to sustain themselves during times of adversity. For that, Pete Seeger became a legend in the labor movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Some of those thoughts resonate with me about for so long, music and times of adversity and the healing power of music is very, very real. Our next act is a band called the Accidentals. Americana, folk, some world music instruments here in the midst as well. Husband and wife, Angela and Jake Carmack, and their friend Susan Williams. They became involved in this performance because of a chance meeting that I had at an art event. I met a poet, Michelle Pond, and I didn't even mention this event, but somehow in the course of our conversation, she told me that she had written a poem about Pete Seeger, and her friends had set it to music. And I said, "We're doing a Pete Seeger birthday memorial concert. Perhaps we can talk further about this." And I'm very glad we did, because I'm excited to see what the results of that will be. And I would like to make them very welcome here to the stage, the Accidentals.
Hi, how you doing? So this goes out to my friend Michelle Pond, who's sitting in the back row back there. I think it really captures the spirit of Pete Seeger, and I hope you enjoy it. Sing with a purpose, sing with delight, sing in the daytime and into the night. Sing songs about flowers, songs with a turn, songs that ring out, I'm sure they'll be heard. Sing in his memory, sing out strong, sing together and sing along, oh, sing in his memory, sing out strong, sing together, sing along. Sing songs about flowers, songs with a turn, songs that ring out to ensure they'll be heard. Sing for the rivers and sing for the land. Behold the beauty, save all we can. Sing in his memory, sing out strong, sing together and sing along. Oh, sing in his memory, sing out strong, sing together, sing along. out for others. Loud as a drum, sing in one voice, we shall overcome. Sing anywhere with whomever you choose. Stand up for freedom, too precious to lose. Sing in his memory, sing out strong. Sing together and sing along. Oh, sing in his memory, sing out strong. Sing together, sing along. Sing together, sing along. Thank you. This next one is a union song. My dad was in the union. He just passed away this last year. And I wish I'd studied this one and sang it for him, but 'cause I know he would have enjoyed it. A lot of you probably know it. It's called Which Side Are You On? I'll tell how the good old Union has come here to dwell. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? My daddy was a miner, he's now in the air and sun. Fellow workers until the battle's won. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? See, in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug, a J.H. Blair. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Workers, can you stand it? Tell me how you can. You'll either be a lousy scab, or will you be a man? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Don't scare before the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Poor folks ain't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side? Which side? Thank you.
Thank you to the Accidentals. We're in that stretch of the evening, the home stretch, maybe it's the 7th inning, something like that. And coming up next, recipients of 2014 Spirit of Folk Awards, Bob and Diana Suckiel from Folk Alliance International were recognized among some other folks, another one of whom is also here tonight. They're the hosts of the Fool Killer Folk radio show, and you know them, we know them. I've known them for a while, and you have what? And we're gonna have some good musical offerings, including one of my favorite Pete Seeger songs. Please make them welcome like you already have, Bob and Diana Suckiel.
Thank you.
Now this song is in your DNA. That means you have to sing. It is a must. It is a folk song. You are the folks. N'est-ce pas? That's Utah always used to say. I don't know what it means, but you have to sing, or else, as I have been warned before by other performers, a whole herd of Mormon missionaries will descend upon your house, all in white shirts and black ties, followed by a double 700 of Jehovah's Witnesses. And if that doesn't make you want to do something, I don't know. The song is a song that comes from the spiritual tradition, was a labor song, and they sang with it on civil rights. And then I know it's a strong song because it's a song they sang while they were standing in line, marching down. And any song that's strong enough to have a 16, 17-year-olds walk defiantly with nothing in their hands while approaching them is hordes of policemen in riot gear and truncheons and dogs looking like they're going to rip them apart. It's a strong song. It's called
We Shall Not Be Moved.
We Shall Not Be Moved. Thank you. I'm glad I remembered that. Do you want to run over the chorus? I think they know it, but we should.
I think so, but it's we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved.
Yes, that wonderful vision of water that makes you think of life.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our unions. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our unions. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children. We shall not be moved, like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved.
We shall not
be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved, like a tree planted by the water. planted by the water, we shall not be moved. Thank you.
I know we were running over time here. Pete Seeger's, I was looking, one of his favorite stories that he always used to tell was about the teeter-totter with a basket on both ends, and one side had a half full of rocks and the other side was quarter filled with sand. And he was over there with a teaspoon trying to fill up the side with sand to make it. And people were laughing at him. And, oh, it's leaking. You can't get it that far. It'll never make it. And all of a sudden, somebody else comes along with a teaspoon. And another person. And eventually, there was enough sand to lift those rocks right up and put that sand on the bottom. And that's what he believed in, was people doing small deeds of small organizations, community organizations, and we've talked about that already. Any man who played in 9 decades and who said, anyway, I'm not gonna, but this is you want to introduce this song? Yes. Yeah, good.
Thank you, Mr. Brakeman.
You're welcome, Mrs. Brakeman.
This is his song, Sailing Down My Golden River. It's one of his more beautiful pieces. And there's lines in it that you can sing along with. And yet I was never alone, and I was always close to home.
Well, what you want to do?
So when I'll sing that first one, and
it's kind of a meditation.
I'll put my finger up like a teacher. Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own, yet I was never alone. Sun and water, old life giver, I'll have them where'er I roam, and I was not far from home. Those lines are your part when I raise my hand.
You want to try it again? You're going to make them sing this.
I know.
We'll stand up here for a long time. I'm used to it.
Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own, yet I was never alone.
Yeah, see, I've been beating my nuns, man. Nuns and brothers. No, that's not true. They didn't beat me.
Sun and water, old life givers, I'll have them where'er I roam, and I was not far from home. Sunlight glancing on the water, life and death are all my own, yet I was never alone. Life to raise my sons and daughters, go sun sparkles in the foam, and I was not far from home. Sailing down my winding highway, travelers from near and far, yet I was never alone. Exploring all the little byways, searching out the distant stars, and I was not far from home. Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own, yet I was never alone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob and Diana Suckiel. Next, we have spoken word from the host of the Wednesday Midday Medley. And yes, the coordinator of the Kansas City, Kansas Organic Teaching Gardens. He's been with KKFI since 2001, and I know him from back in the good old days with the Big Bang Buffet. Please make him welcome, Mr. Mark Manning.
I'm glad you're all still with us. You shall not be moved, right? As we enter hour 4 of Pizza Palooza. I decline to discuss under compulsion where I have sung and who has sung my songs and who else has sung with me and the people I have known. I love my country very dearly, and I greatly resent this implication that some of the places that I have sung and some of the people that I have sung with and have known and some of my opinions, whether they are religious or philosophical, or I might be a vegetarian, make me any less of an American. I will tell you about my songs, but I am not interested in telling you who wrote them. I will tell you about my songs, but I'm not interested in who listened to them. Well, best known as a folk singer, hearing the beautiful, peaceful, thinking voice of Pete Seeger speaking is always a balm to my ears. His speaking voice is just as musical and poetic as his singing voice. Pete Seeger was always a teacher, always working to connect ideas, truth, stories. He was so many things. He never compartmentalized his many trades and talents. They were all immersed together in the same water, clear, unmistaken, unashamed. In August 18th, 1955, he was summoned to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee hearing in New York, investigating alleged communist activities in the entertainment industry. Mr. Tavener, I have before me a photostatic copy of the April 30th, 1948 issue of the Daily Worker, which carries under the same title of What's On, an advertisement of, quote, May Day Rally for Peace, Security, and Democracy, unquote. The advertisement states, are you in a fighting mood? Then attend the May Day rally, unquote. Expert speakers are slated to be spoken in the program, and then follows a statement, quote, entertainment by Pete Seeger, unquote. At the bottom appears this auspices Essex County Communist Party. Did you lend your talent to the Essex County Communist Party on this occasion indicated by this article from the Daily Worker? Pete Seeger. Mr. Walter, I believe I have already answered this question, and it's the same answer. I'm not going to answer any questions as to my association, my philosophical or religious beliefs, or my political beliefs, or how I voted in any election, or any of these private affairs. I think these are very improper questions for any American to be asked, especially under such compulsion as this. I would be glad to tell you about my life, if you want to hear of it. Has the witness declined to answer this specific question? Chairman Walter, he said that he's not going to answer any questions, any names or anything. He was directed to answer this question. Mr. Tavener, did you sing this song to which we have referred, Now is the Time, at the Wingdale Lodge on the weekend of July 4th? Mr. Seeger, I don't know any song by that name. I know a song with a similar name. It's called Wasn't That a Time? Is that the song? Did you sing that song? Well, I can sing it. I don't know how well I would do without my banjo. Chairman Walter, I said, did you sing that on this occasion? Well, I have sung that song, and I'm not going to go into where I have sung it. I've sung it many places. Did you sing it on this particular occasion? That is the question you are being asked. Again, my answer is the same. You said you would tell us about it. Well, I will tell you about the songs, but I'm not going to try to explain where I sang them. I direct you to answer the question, did you sing this particular song on the 4th of July at the Wingdale Lodge in New York? I have already given you my answer to that question, and to all the questions such as that. And I feel that it is improper to ask about my associations, my opinions. I have said that I would voluntarily, happily tell you about any song that I've done in my life. I think it is the duty to inform you that we don't accept this answer and the others that you have given. After 3/4 of an hour, the committee made it clear that they did not consider Pete Seeger's response to be an answer to their questions. They told him that he would be cited for contempt of Congress. Pete Seeger shrugged. Pete Seeger simply refused to play their game and name names. His testimony led to a March 26, 1957 indictment for contempt of Congress. For many years, he was forced to keep the federal government aware of his travel anytime he departed from his home in New York. In March 1961, Pete Seeger was convicted in a jury trial of contempt of Congress and sentenced to 10 years in jail. Printing and filing court costs added up to $15,000. Friends rallied and raised money for these costs and also to help him get a lawyer. Pete said, "Justice isn't cheap." He was eventually acquitted by an appeals court in May 1962, who overturned his conviction. But he did spend 4 hours behind bars while his lawyer searched for bail money. He learned a folk song while he was there. They handed out a lunch, a bologna sandwich with an apple. A guy next to him was opening a sandwich and singing, "If that judge believes what I'm saying, I'll be home here today." And the guy next to him said, "Not if he sees your record, he's not." Pete Seeger would say, all of us are lucky, every single one of us, for having Thomas Jefferson and Madison and the others who insisted on adding a Bill of Rights to our Constitution, those 10 additional amendments. Pete would call our First Amendment the soul of our Constitution.
Thank you, Mark Manning. Thank you to Unity Temple on the Plaza for hosting this event tonight, and to Christopher for taking care of us with our sonic needs and wants, and you've been very patient and gracious with us, and we appreciate you. And we have 2 more musical acts and then a grand finale where we'll all have another sing-along for Petapalooza 2014. Coming up right now, we have a couple of folks I met at Mark Manning's 500th radio show party that we had not too long ago. And everyone was in a celebratory mood. Everyone was enjoying everyone else's company. And this mother and son duet started singing, and we were just transfixed. And I'm so happy that you all are part of this event tonight. You all will please make welcome Madisen Ward and the Mama Bear.
How's it going, everybody? How's it going, everybody?
How's it going?
That's my test. How's it going, everybody? I feel like I've made it.
You feel like you what?
I said I feel like I've made it. High ceilings. Whenever you're in a place with high ceilings, you made it. I feel like I should have dressed up. I normally dress down. Well, oh, yeah, that'd be great. So I'm not leaning there. Well, we're going to do a couple songs that we just recently learned. We're so happy to be here and be able to hang out with you guys on this this great benefit, celebrating the life of a great icon. And we're just really happy to be here. We're just going to get right into these couple tunes here. We'll do 500 Miles here.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear every show blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear every show blow 100 miles. Lord, I'm 1, Lord, I'm 2, Lord, I'm 3, Lord, I'm 4, Lord, I'm 500 miles away from home, away from home, away from home, away from home. Lord, I'm 500 miles away from not a shirt on my back, not a penny to my name.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're gonna do another song. This is a one that most people aren't familiar with. This one. It's called Amazing Grace. Hope you like it.
Amazing grace, sweet the sound, saved a wretch like me. Once was lost, now I'm found, blind but now I see. Was grace it brought my heart to feel, in grace my fears relieved. How precious then that grace appeared the hour I first believed. Oh, mighty righteous toils and snares have already overcome. Rise that brought me safe thus far, gonna be grace. Lead me home. you very much.
Madisen Ward and the Mama Bear. You won't forget. Thank you guys so much. That's lovely. Can't wait to see you all again. They're self-described as modern, soulful folk music. I think we've really had a lot of soulful folk music here tonight. What a wonderful gathering. What you all have done here is come together to celebrate all of us here together for Pete Seeger's birthday, which is tomorrow. You all know this anyway. He would have been 95. That's almost a century. We've got a lot of work to do, but we can do it. Remember, Kathy Peters said we can make tomorrow a public service day in honor of Pete's birthday, so let's spread that around on the social media. Speaking of social, this man needs no introduction, and yet I want to say I don't have to ask you to make him welcome, but we are so honored that this venerable, delightful, soulful, wonderful man has become a part of this, this night to bring us home, bring us all home in our finale. Another Folk Alliance International Spirit of Folk recipient of 2014. And a friend of mine that I'm glad to reunite with this year, too. That's right. You will make him welcome, I know, because he is Mr. Danny Cox.
Betsy. Love you too, baby. Okay, I'm going to middle's right there. Okay. This is the middle. Yeah. Okay, well, good evening, and thank you all for coming out and supporting your community radio, KKFI. It's been a long road. We were trying to raise money for the station back when it was a Mid-Coast radio project. You know, back then, and doing fundraisers on a flatbed truck in Westport, and trying to get it going. And community radio is so important to give voices to those who, you know, otherwise, if they don't meet the criteria of a commercial, you'll never hear them, you know. And so we have the community, these voices. And being community, some of the stuff you're not gonna like. But that's okay, because some of the stuff you will. And that's what community is all about. Celebrating. So everybody gets a mic? Yeah. Mr. Pete Seeger. I first ran into Mr. Seeger when I first got into folk music and got into being a communist in the 8th grade. And the Quakers would take us on weekends for indoctrination. And we had no saying that if they wanted to break up the American Communist Party, you just have the FBI agents stop paying their dues.
Test 1, 2, test.
Well, then we just fall apart. But the man who got me involved in folk music, John Sweet, who was honored by the Smithsonian for his wonderful work in civil rights. His father was the editor of a union newspaper. You know what that meant. And he brought Pete Seeger to my hometown, Cincinnati.
Test.
And you know, we need everybody in this world to give what they have. Nobody can do it all. If you think you can, you're in a lot of trouble. So we all share and we give our gifts what we have. And everybody has a gift. Some gifts are a lot easier to share, like all of us up here. Our gifts are very easy to share. Some people's gifts are not quite as easy, but they are equally as important. And you share them, let that little light of yours shine, and you share those gifts you have. Pete Seeger could see the importance of a song. The song I'm going to start off with, Guantanamera, is about Guantanamo. Look how different Guantanamo is today than when he's singing Guantanamo, Guantanamera, a girl from Guantanamo, La Gira Guantanamera. The song originally was about a girl from Guantanamo. You hear the recordings back in the 1920s that talk about this lovely girl, and a woman would sing it about this lovely man who loved the girl from Guantanamo. But Pete Seeger, it touched him when he heard the poetry and the political side of it. Beautiful things like, in January and June, I cultivate a white rose for those who give me their hand. And for those who would rip out my heart, I don't cultivate thistles and needles. I cultivate a white rose. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, 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 Guajira, Guantanamera, oh, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crecen las palmas. Yo soy un hombre sincero, donde crecen las palmas, y antes de morirme yo quiero echen las veces de mi alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Mi verso es de un verde claro y es un carmen encendido. Mi verso es de un verde claro y un carmen encendido. Mi verso es de un ciervo girado que buscas en el monte en paz. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Para los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte, y para los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte hecha, y el arroyo de las sierras de Caplas más del mar. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, oh, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, oh, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, oh, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. One more time. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now this song, I kind of love this because just tells a story of a just man and a woman. You know, girls become women long before boys become men. And that's where all the trouble starts, right there. Long before boys become men. And this story is about a young man who falls in love. He's warned by his lover's mother that she's too young. But he goes on anyhow, and even on his first night of his, married, he walks into town. He's looking for something else already, But he learns. He learns through the helping hand of a woman. Women seem to understand things that come so hard to every man, It's just quite simple. And in the end, he realizes that he truly has a partner, and that's a wonderful thing to have. Irene, good night. Irene, you can sing it, good night. Good night, Irene, good night, Irene. See you in my dream. I asked your mother for your hand. She said you were too young. Wish I never saw your face. I wish you never been born. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Last Saturday night, I got married. Me and my wife settled down. Sometimes I get a notion to take a little walk downtown. You know what's downtown, don't you? Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Gonna see you in my dream. Stop your rambling. Stop your gambling. Stop staying on late at night. Go home to your wife and children. Sit down by the fireside bright. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Gonna see you in my dream. Sometimes I live in the country. Sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I get a great notion to jump in the river and drown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Gonna see you in my dream. Irene, good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Gonna see you in my dream. I love Irene, Lord knows I do. Love her till the seas run dry. If Irene would turn her back on me, I'll take morphine and die. Irene, good night. Irene, good night.
everybody, good luck. Irene, good night. Yeah. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Gonna see you in my Well, I call my darling Shady Grove. That's where we first met. And that's where I first kissed that girl. And I ain't stopped kissing her yet. Well, it's peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. And if I can't have my Shady Grove, then I'm doing it all. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Wish I had a banjo string made of golden twine. Then the only song that I would play is I wish this girl were mine. And I wish I had a golden box and a golden key. Then I lock her heart up nice and tight, keep it all for me. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove can milk a cow, get eggs from a muley here. When I ask her to marry me, she won't say well. Shady Grove, please be my wife, equal in everything. We'll share the chores, the cares, the woes, but I can't do nothing about the birthing. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm going back to Harlem. Well, I call my darling Shady Grove.
Thank you, thank you.
This is a song Pete Seeger gave me. I've been singing it since I first started singing. I sing it every night, no matter where I am. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land.
sing it in the morning,
sing it in the evening.
I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land.
Sing out danger.
I'd sing out danger.
I'd sing out warning. I'd sing out love.
Love between my brothers and my sisters. Oh, over this land.
If I had a bell,
if I had a bell,
ring it in the morning,
ring it in the morning,
ring it in the evening,
I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land.
Ring out danger.
I'd ring out danger.
Ring out a warning. I'd ring out
Love between my brothers and my sisters.
Oh,
over this land.
now I got a hammer.
Now I got a hammer.
I got a bell.
Now I got a bell.
I got a song to sing.
I got a song
All over this land.
all over this land.
It's a hammer of justice.
It's the hammer of justice.
It's a bell of
Freedom, freedom, freedom.
freedom, love.
Love between my brothers and my sisters. Oh, over this land.
Yes, I would now. Now I got a hammer.
Now I got a hammer.
I got a bell.
I got a bell.
I got a song. Oh, oh.
I got a song
Over this land.
all over this land.
It's a hammer of justice.
It's that hammer of justice.
It's a bell of
Freedom, freedom, freedom.
song about
Love between my brothers and my sisters. Oh, over this land.
Yes, I would now.
All over this land.
All over this land. Yeah. Thank you all so very much. Peter Snodley, Terry Boner.
Thank you
Thank
so
you all.
much. Thank you.
Stick around.
Danny Cox and these gentlemen, thank you so much. Great friends to KKFI. All of us here are great friends to KKFI. Let's sing together as led by all of us and shared with all of us here. Of course, we must sing We Shall Overcome and join our voices together for one more. Thank you to Barry Lee for organizing and programming this evening.
I'm going back to Kansas City.
Thank you again for hosting this Unity Temple on the Plaza, and Christopher up there in the top, and all of you for joining us here tonight. Let's sing together on We Shall Overcome. Someday we can make that day happen. Thank you all so much.
Great song. Pete Seeger took an old. See, that's amazing about this man. He sees things that are sitting back there, like in the Smithsonian, and nobody's talking about it, and he grabs it, he brings the importance of it to us. The anthem of the whole civil rights movement. This old spiritual, nobody was singing. Pete pulled it out and gave it back to us.
It'll make the sound. Let's just try it here. You guys sing and I'll just go back.
shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Go deep in my heart. I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. Sing it, baby. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome
Happy birthday, Pete.
Yeah, almost is his birthday. Well, you made it, too. Thank you all so much. Thank you all. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, it's always great to reconnect. Yeah. I know.